Hello everyone, myself Sowmya, Assistant Professor in CSE AIML Department, MLR Institute of Technology. So in this video, we will see about form validation. So in this video, we will see what is meant by form validation and we will also see one example program. So what is meant by form validation? So whenever we submit some form to the server side, so it will validate whether our details are correct or not. For example, if I want to log in the Gmail, so I'll give my username and the password. So it will cross-check these values with the existing values. If they are matching, then it will give the successful login page. Otherwise, we will get a message, your details are not correct, like that. So what is this process? This process is called as form validation. So every time we cannot depend on the server, right? So we can also do this form validation using the client side. So that is JavaScript. Using JavaScript, you can validate your form statically. Statically in the sense like these are not the exact details which you are storing in the database. Why? Because you're not connecting to the database. So with some fixed values, you can check. For example, I'm writing my form validation only for my values. Then I can write if the username is Sowmya, then only give the successful login page. Otherwise, don't give like that. So that means I'm checking only with my value. So I am not able to check with the different values which are available in the database. So for that purpose, you can go with the server-side programming. But here we are discussing about the form validation in the JavaScript, that is client-side itself. So it is important to validate the form submitted by the user. Why? Because it can have inappropriate values. Why? Because I am giving some email ID which is not correct. Right? So the validation is mandatory here before giving authority or before giving some permissions to some web pages. Right? So here in JavaScript, it will provide some facilities to validate the form at the client side itself. So basically, we know the form validation will be done at the server side by accessing the database. But here in JavaScript, we have some methods to check or validate the form in the client side itself. So here in this JavaScript, what we can validate? We can validate the name, we can validate the password, email, date, mobile number, etc. fields. But here we need to specify the values manually in the program itself. So this is an example program here. So first we will see the HTML part. So this is the HTML part. In the HTML part, I'm just displaying some heading here, JavaScript validation. Under this, I'm just creating a form. So form, what is the form name I'm giving? My form. On submit. Here I am using one event handler here on submit. So when this on submit will work, whenever you click on this submit button. Whenever you click on submit button of that form, then what you need to do? You need to call a method called validate form. Validate form method will be called whenever you click on this submit. So before submit, I am just creating one text field here. So here this text field is for some name, F name. Right? So followed by one submit button, then you're closing your form. So what is this validate form method? That we will see in the script. So here in the script part, I'm just creating a function here with the function keyword, function, validate form, no parameters. Now I need to access this detail. So here in the form, you have created one text field. What is the text field name? F name. So first access this field. How I'm accessing? This is a form data, right? So in the previous video, we have discussed how to access the data using DOM method. So the first DOM method, it uses the array called forms. So it has two-dimension array. The first dimension considers the form name. What is the form name? My form. And the second dimension expects the field name. What is the field name? F name. So forms of my form, F name dot value. The value entered at that text field will be returned and that will be stored in X. So how I'm validating here? If X double equal to empty quotes, that means no. If you don't enter any value, if you simply submit the button, then you need to get an alert message, name must be filled out and then return false. Why? Because it's not success. Else, if you enter something, not empty, if you enter some name, it may be Sowmya, Raju, Sanvika, something like that, any name. So then in the else, what I'm doing, I'm just giving an alert message, success here, any name. You can enter any name, at that time you will get success. If you don't enter any name, you will get this message, name must be filled out. So we'll see the output for this. So this is the output I'm getting. So first of all, I'm getting some heading JavaScript validation followed by one name. Now I'm not entering any name, simply I'm clicking on submit. Then immediately I'm getting an alert message, name must be filled out. So I'm just entering my name and I'm clicking on submit. So then I'm getting success. So instead of Sowmya, if I enter some other name and if I click on submit, now also I'm getting submit. So here you're not checking for a specific value, but you are checking whether the value is entered or not. Now I just want to modify this program for a specific value. Then in that case, I'm giving, if x double equal to Sowmya, then only give success. Otherwise, failed. So I'm just refreshing this. So I'm giving some other name, Sanvika, and I'm clicking on submit. Then I'm getting failed. If I give Sowmya, then I'm getting success. So if you give only Sowmya, then I'll get success. For any other names, it will give failed. So according to your requirement, you need to write this form validation program. So in this video, we have seen what is meant by form validation, why we need form validation, and we have also seen one example program for validation. Thank you.